Buddy, thank you so much for tuning into WMRE Live. I'm Carmen, and I interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you an interview with Stephen Day.
Yeah. What's up, WMRE?
Hello, we are so happy you're with us today.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on with us. So I wanted to start this interview today, just maybe talking about who you are, where you come from. I know you're from, or you reside in Nashville right now.
Yeah.
Um, but if you could just tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been in Nashville for 10 years, but I grew up in Georgia. And so is this radio station through Emory?
Yes, so we're actually in
Okay.
Atlanta.
Amazing. Yeah, so I grew up like 45 minutes northeast of Atlanta, kind of like sandwiched in between like Buford, Brazelton, and Houston. Um, my dad's a pastor of a church out there called Celebration Church, and I grew up out there playing music and started writing songs in high school, and then moved to Nashville after high school, and have been doing it ever since.
That is so awesome.
Yeah,
So how did you like find your sound? I know you're kind of soul, a little bit of pop, a little bit of rock, but how
yeah,
did you really kind of come to where you are now?
totally. Yeah, I mean, I started playing guitar. That was like I feel like my entry point into like songwriting and wanting to be an artist. I started playing guitar, fell in love with like John Mayer in middle school, as most guitar players do. I fell in love with Room for Squares, that record, and just started playing guitar like all the time. And I feel like guitar just sort of like it was a natural thing for me. I just started writing songs like immediately, like as soon as I started playing. And I fell in love with like old soul music, Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway. Um, and also like my mom loved like old crooners, Sinatra. I love Glenn Campbell. It was like I'm definitely like a smorgasbord. Is that how you say it? I think so. Um, I'm definitely like a smorgasbord of lots of different stuff. But I think it kind of boils down to like I have a love for soul music, but a love for like kind of just like pop structure songwriting as well. Like I love things that are just like beautiful to sing. And yeah, I think that's kind of where my sound lands. It's just somewhere between soul, pop, and whoever knows whatever else it is. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I was listening to a little bit of your music. I actually hadn't heard of you, or I hadn't
Yeah,
listened to you. I'd heard of you, but I hadn't listened to you. So I
yeah.
started listening this week, and you are amazing. I like
Oh
added a
wow.
bunch to my liked songs. Um, and
That's so cool.
it made me feel so good. It's such uplifting music, which I feel like
Cool.
like, I don't know, it's just really lovely to listen to. Um,
Oh, thank you,
my
Carmen.
next question is, so I know you're on tour right now with your
Yeah,
Goldmine tour, but what has your favorite show been this tour, or
yeah,
favorite show in general that you've ever played, favorite venue, favorite vibe, whatever it may be. Yeah, just tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, totally. I think my favorite show this tour, I've got a feeling that my favorite show this tour is always going to be the last show I played.
Mm.
I feel
Yeah.
like me and the band are like we're like raring up like every time we just keep getting more excited about the set and um but the last show we played before we got to New York. So we haven't played New York, but we're in New York right now. And we just played Ann Arbor, Michigan, and there's
Okay.
like a little dive venue there called the Blind Pig. And I had opened for the Dip there, and I think a band called Juice back in like 2019.
Mhm.
Um, but that I love that venue. It's always amazing energy. The crowd is amazing. Man, we just had a blast. That was the best show this tour probably. I'm hoping New York City tops it, you know. New
Yeah,
York
yeah.
City's always amazing.
Oh,
But my favorite show ever, I think, at this point in my career has been was actually in London.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
I played at uh, a club venue over there called Oslo in Hackney,
Hmm.
and I have just never played a show like it. Like it was just like those people are amazing. It was like I didn't even, I mean, I obviously was singing on the mic, but it was like I didn't even have to sing. They were like overpowering the
Oh my
whole,
gosh.
just singing every lyric to every song. It was like the most like seamless set. Just like, yeah, it was wild.
That's got to be kind of surreal too. Like
It
very
was it
crazy to
was
experience.
it was definitely surreal. Just especially being outside of the States, it was just kind of like mind blowing.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I love that. I
Yeah.
feel like I have no musical talent, but I feel like if I like were to perform, I feel like it'd be super awesome to kind of like have that community with somebody or like a big group of people, especially outside of those states. That's just oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool. Um, cool. My next question
Yeah.
is kind of you kind of answered this a little while ago. But what are your maybe like who's your favorite artist right now? What's your favorite song right now? Um,
Oh,
like
that's a great
obviously
question.
people that inspire you, sure, but like right this second, what are you listening to? What's on your like
Yeah.
hype up pre-show playlist?
Oh man, it's actually hilarious. I mean, I'm like constantly listening to all kinds of music, but I mean, I mentioned my heroes, which are like Mayer, Sinatra, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, Glenn Campbell. Like there's like the stuff I always go back to, you know?
Hmm.
And then I don't know, I'm always kind of like I'm always waiting for something to surprise me. The In a way, like I'll listen to new stuff, but sometimes like it doesn't hit. So I think my favorite thing is like when a random person is like, "Dude, I think you'd love this."
Yeah.
And like somebody I would have never expected to like land like the right thing. If that makes sense, like their personality or something is different in a way that I'm like, "Ah, we probably don't like the same stuff."
Hmm.
But I just go check it out and then suddenly I'm like, "Whoa." That happened with a band called NRBQ. Have you ever heard of them?
I haven't.
They're like from they've been around forever. They were like started in the mid 60s, I think. But it's kind of like weird, eclectic blues, funk, kind of it's almost like quirky in a way that's like not cool at all. But for some reason there's some like element to it that it just tugs on my heartstrings a little bit. So I love it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love when
Yeah.
music kind of finds you in different ways or like unique
Yeah.
ways. And I really love sharing music. That's part of why WMRA is so great and just like radio in general is so fun because you get to
Yeah.
kind of share whatever you want, which is awesome.
Totally.
And so you are performing in Atlanta on March 8th, correct?
I sure am, and I can't wait.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And you're performing at Terminal West, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Are you excited for that show? Have you performed in Atlanta before?
I've performed a good bit. Uh, back in the day, I was out at the open mics of Buford, Georgia. But in the past years, from like college on, it's been club venues in Atlanta. This will be the biggest Atlanta show I've ever played. I think Terminal West is like is it? Do you know what capacity is? Is it like 515 or like
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I
it's
do know
something
it
like
is a
that?
like bigger venue. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Do you have any family coming to your show or anything like that?
Lots,
Okay, good. I was
lots.
gonna
And
say
my dad's still a pastor of that church, so I'm sure they'll come out too, So it'll be
they'll bring
great.
a whole bus. It'll be a little field
Yeah,
trip.
yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. How are you liking Nashville? How's living kind of
Oh man, I love it so much. I love it. Yeah, I've been there for 10 years now, and it's a beautiful place, a beautiful community. People are so warm, and like the music community there is just really open-minded and very welcoming to all kinds of music. And Um, yeah, I just love it. I love it.
Awesome. And then I think I have one more question. What does a day in the life with Stephen Day look like? What are you doing? I know tour is a little weird, so things are probably a little different than normal,
Yeah.
but what does your average day look like in Nashville or on tour? Either one.
Yeah, on tour, it's kind of like it depends on if we have a long drive because I still tour in a van. And so it's like we might play a show like with Indianapolis. We played Indianapolis and then we had to be in Ann Arbor the next day. So we played uh that show and then we pack everything up, drive, 30 more minutes to get a head start on the next day and then drive whatever amount of time that is in the day. We load in, um, maybe get some good coffee before sound check, and then sound check. And honestly, show days is just like blitz. It's a blitz, especially if you got a long drive. But I
Yeah.
would say in Nashville, it's like um, I'm usually writing for me or for other artists in Nashville. So most days it's like I'll get up, go to the YMCA, work out, get a coffee, uh, write, and then that's most of the day writing, and then come home, uh, walk my dog with my wife Abby, or go get some food at El Fuego, the Mexican restaurant down the street, get a nice margarita. Who knows?
Well, that is awesome. I also kind of
Yeah.
lied. I actually have a couple more questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I was just wondering, this kind of reminded me of that. I'm not sure how, but what is your like dream venue to perform at? What is your like, this is your, I like have completely made it. Nothing can top this. Like what is that for you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great question. Honestly, I have like for Georgia, I can't wait to play the Georgia Theater. I in Athens. That's sort of like even like growing up, that was a spot that everybody talked about,
Mhm.
and I feel like for it would mean a lot to me for my career to continue in a way that means I get to play that to headline that venue and everybody be there and be like, no way.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
but I think like for the rest of like the states, probably like I mean cliche, but there's a reason it's cliche. I mean Red Rocks is just like I don't know. I mean everybody talks about it, but it's just because it's just magnificent. So I would love to do that, but I think more personally, probably Georgia Theater.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. I think you
Yeah.
got that. You got both of those.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
And then this is kind of my final question, but well, I keep saying that, and then it's never my final question. So
That's
you are
fine.
a songwriter, and that is like
Yeah.
a big part of who you are,
Yeah.
or a big part of your like artistry. And you were saying that you write for a bunch of other artists in Nashville as well. So what kind of like what do you typically write about? Is there anything that in particular that inspires you? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm writing for other people, I usually try to take like the passenger seat. So it's like whatever they want to write about. I might come in with some ideas, but typically like the artist like sort of steers that ship and I'm just sort of like on board for wherever they want to take it. And I'm just like tossing out ideas and um at being like as good of a collaborator as I can be. When I'm writing for me, I'm like pretty melodically driven.
Hmm.
Like a lot of times, like I might have a word or something that sort of like I'm moving around with a melody, and then sort of like the melody almost inspires what the feeling is. Like the melody might or the chords might feel like a feeling, and so then the story becomes what the melody wants it to be. So I feel like I kind of work like I think different people work different ways, but I'm almost kind of like why do I work like this? But it's just kind of like that's just the way it is. That's kind of how it's always been. Is like I'm writing to a feeling that has been like given to me, if that makes sense. And I'm
Hmm.
trying to like put words onto that feeling in that moment to make sure I um like meet that the whatever the power of like the melody is, I want to match it with the lyric. And so Um, I don't know. It can be whatever. I think a lot of times my songs land in the world of like romantic, hopeless romantic, those kinds of uh arenas because I think everybody can relate to love and loss, and I love the simplicity of those kinds of songs. They almost speak to me more than songs that are very specific or trying to like uh manufacture emotion based on like something being so uh specific. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
No, yeah, it definitely does.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was so beautiful. That was like inspiring, and I don't even write songs, and I want to go write a song.
I love it. I
Alrighty. Well,
love it.
thank you so much for meeting with us today. We really appreciate it. If you guys are in Atlanta on March 8th, go out and see Stephen Day at Terminal West. It'll be an awesome show. I might be there. Some other WMRE people are probably going to be there. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun. Maybe we can
Yes,
chat.
I'd love
But yeah,
to.
thank you so much. I am going to put y'all back on our heavy rotation, and I hope you guys have a great day.